A simple spreadsheet versus multi-billion-dollar teams. What if I told you that a simple spreadsheet once beat billion-dollar teams at their own game? Yes, I know that sounds really surprising, but it's true. It's the reality of the data sheet. Data about players, game strategy, and players' abilities. Throughout human history, we've always sought to improve, innovate, and to push the boundaries of what's possible by using available resources. Ever since the inventions of the wheel all the way to the rise of the internet, each breakthrough has been driven by one key factor: the ability to use what we have to make something better. And today, we have one of the most powerful tools at our disposal: data. At its core, data is just facts and figures we can group together to help make better decisions for the community. And today, we've integrated this data into almost every aspect of society, from healthcare to business to finance. I could go on for days. But one aspect where this data is used almost continuously is sports, where it's used almost every second. Let's explore this revolution step by step. First, let's look at the evolution of this data. Data is something that has been around for a long, long time. And now some of you guys may be surprised by that, but let's remember that data is just a way to keep record of things, and we've been doing that for quite a while now. Obviously, over the centuries, the development of this data and how we use this data has obviously changed, but its sole purpose has remained roughly the same. For example, early humans used to record their lives on cave walls. Today, we record ours through social media and even our Netflix recommendations. Now, you guys may be asking me, how does this even relate to sports? Well, you all know the MLB, right? Major League Baseball. Now, there's a team in the MLB called the Oakland Athletics, or the A's for short. And in 2002, they redefined what it meant to be a franchise in the MLB. So in 2002, they had the shortest budget in the entire league, meaning they couldn't afford any of the superstar players. Now, they turned to data and created something like a simple spreadsheet, something you would see in a modern video game today. Now, they used that spreadsheet to find the undervalued players, the players that other teams thought they wouldn't need to win. And using this data, they unlocked the true potential of these players. Not only that, they ended up with one of the best records in the entire league. And not only that, they shattered records. Not only did they unleash the true power of data, they also showed the strength of hard-fought power. Now, ever since this Moneyball period, we've only gone upwards. However, an important thing about data is that it's not only about finding things, it's about using them to your advantage. Well, how exactly can we do that in sports? Well, there's three main factors: performance enhancement, safety of players, and game strategy. First up, and probably the one with the most direct connection with sports, is performance enhancement. One way we can track performance is through wearable technology. And one example of these wearable technologies is the Oura Ring. This is a ring that athletes can wear around their finger to help measure key body metrics, such as heart rate, body temperature, and even sleep quality. Now, using this data, athletes can optimize their recovery and even adjust their training schedules to make sure that they have the best version of themselves out on the field for game day. Now, remember when I said that data is all about using it to your advantage? Well, the NBA did just that during the COVID-19 pandemic when they used this ring to help reduce the disease transmission between players and coaches. However, the limits of this data doesn't only stop at health. It's about knowing when a player is at their true peak performance. Now, teams like the Golden State Warriors have even used motion tracking systems to help identify inaccuracies in players' shots. This is the type of developments that has helped players like Steph Curry develop into the sharpest shooters in basketball history. Now, performance alone is absolutely meaningless without ensuring the safety of players, which brings me to my second point today. Let's shift gears to the NFL, where football is a high collision sport. Well, to combat these potential injuries that could arise, the NFL partnered with AWS, or Amazon Web Services, to create an online platform called Next Gen Stats. Using this platform, the league can track over 500 key stats, from speed to acceleration to force. I could go on for days. Now, the limits of this data doesn't just stop there. This data is predictive, meaning that real-time simulations can be drawn from it. And that's exactly what the NFL did. They created an online portfolio called the Digital Athlete. And they can use this online portfolio to help track scenarios where injury is likely to happen. Now, using this new data, the NFL can partner with new companies to help devise new equipment, such as helmets and shoulder pads, so that players can continue to play the games that they love to play each and every day. Now, injuries don't just happen in football. They happen in almost every single sport. But the good thing is that leagues around the world are making sure that these injuries happen less likely. So we can continue to watch the games that we love, and players can continue to play the games that they love every single day. Now, this arises an entirely new question. Is it sufficient to win with only performance and safety? And the easy answer to that is no, because strategic planning is just as important. Now, I know a lot of you guys have heard of the phrase, work smarter, not harder. That was a quote developed by Alan F. Morgenstern, an engineer in the 1930s. However, his quote definitely applies today, because that's exactly what teams want to accomplish day in and day out. Well, what exactly do I mean by this? Well, one example of this data that can be used is in soccer, where AI can analyze thousands of hours of gameplay to help detect patterns and repeated tactics in an opponent's game. Coaches can use this to make sure that they have the best lineup on the field, to make sure that they can continue to win championships and set a legacy for their team. Now, not only this, here are 4 different soccer heat maps that can tell us a lot about a player. They all tell different stories about a player's role, his role as a team player, and also the places on the field where he's most comfortable. This is another type of data that can help coaches understand where their players are best suited for, and it can help them understand what the best lineup for the upcoming games is. Now, it's important to recognize that this data doesn't just happen overnight. It takes time to develop. But the reality is that this data definitely helps to create stronger teams that can win championships. Now, over the centuries, we've seen data transform almost every aspect of sports, from performance enhancement to safety of players, all the way to strategic planning. Now, ethical concerns are definitely a problem, as with all types of technology use. Things like privacy and data misuse are constantly things that we have to worry about. And it's important to make sure that we solve these problems so that data can be used fairly and ethically by everyone around the world. Now, looking at our past, just look how far we've gone in the last 10 to 20 years. Imagine what we could do in the future. It's already transforming not only sports, but every single part of society. The thing is that data is not only something that can impact our future, it's also something that we've already seen impact thousands of things in the past. So now I want each and every one of you to think about this. Think about how you could use data to help affect your day-to-day tasks. And trust me, there's tons of ways, because data is applicable to almost everyone. While you're doing that, remember this one key thing. Data is more than just numbers. It's a key to unlocking an entirely new era of excellence. Thank you.